Mm. Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Green Bay Packers all-time leading rusher, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Joined alongside Tim in Green Bay. Boy, we got a lot to cover this evening. We're going to hit on the trade deadline frenzy, a couple of key trades that took place today. They feel like free agent signings, to be honest with you, but a couple of key trades that took place that I thought were huge, very, very impactful trades. We'll also talk about the latest roster moves geared around the Packers. There was 3 or 4 moves made there with the practice squad, and obviously somebody being elevated to the active roster. We'll hit that with a little bit of Luke Musgrave talk. We'll also talk about Christian Watson and how he's actually, I feel like he's off to a stronger start than he had in 2024, albeit he's getting, jumping into the lineup here halfway through the season. We'll dive into a little bit of tape there. And then Jeff Hafley, showing a new wrinkle in his defense. I think you guys will be really, really interested in seeing as well. So we're going to put Chalk Talk off till tomorrow because there was just so much to cover today. We'll dive into all that tomorrow. Before we do, though, if you guys would do that YouTube stuff for me, take a quick second, hit like. It's free. It just takes a second. It helps the channel more than you know. Also, if you're new here, welcome into PTA. Thank you for making us a part of your evening. We're not experts. We're not insiders. We're not media. We're fans just like you talking Packers on the daily. So if you're looking for that type of content, make sure you click subscribe and hit that bell icon so you're notified when we go live here in the future. Tim, how you doing, man? What y'all getting down in the 20s up there? Am I reading that correct? Or is that maybe next couple of days?
Yeah, it's coming. It's in the near future. It's getting a little chipper at night, but beautiful days right now in Green Bay. At least on the east side it is, Happy to be here, though. Talking some ball, talking some trade deadline. Romeo Doubs is still a Green Bay Packer. Let's go.
Tim fired up about that, man. I know Coach Lynn, little spoiler alert, he said, it's Josh Wild time, baby. That's right. We'll hit on that as well. Let's lead things off, Tim. Let's get into this trade talk, man. I don't know how long this segment will last. It might be 10 minutes. It might be 40 minutes. But this was just interesting today, man. All the trades that took place, obviously, as the one that kind of headlined it for me. I know Sauce Gardner, we'll talk about it in a second. You guys know when we were talking about, hey, what kind of trade would you be interested in? I said, the only position I would really be interested in is another defensive tackle, right? A tier 1 position. And it just so happens there was someone that was rumored to be on the market, on the trade market there, and it was Quinnen Williams. Guys, I view Quinnen Williams as a top 3 defensive tackle in the league. Some may have him top 5, top 10, what have you. But Quinnen Williams is a dog, man. He has been for a very long time. So the Jets and the Cowboys make the trade, okay? So here was the blockbuster trade. The Cowboys are trading for Jets Pro Bowl defensive tackle Quinnen Williams, said Ian Rappaport, sending a first-round pick and more to the New York Jets, per the insiders, a new home for one of the NFL's best to team that values interior defensive linemen as New York Jets build for the future. So the Jets ended up getting a second-rounder this coming draft and a first rounder in 2027, okay, next year. And then, of course, Maisie Smith, however you say it, also went to the Jets, okay? The Cowboys get Quinnen Williams. Now, you guys know I'm a Packer fan, right? I seen Packer fans raking the Cowboys over the coals for this trade. I think this is a solid trade for the Cowboys, man. I really do. I think that they got a lot better on the defensive front with this. Now, it would mean a lot more, Tim, if you still have Micah Parsons, right? However, and some people are saying, well, you wouldn't have those first round. Yeah, they traded their first round picks. So imagine if they had kept Micah Parsons, worked that out, right? Not traded for Kenny Clark. Obviously, you wouldn't have him. But then you get Quinnen Williams paired with Micah Parsons. That's been Micah Parsons' problem in Dallas, is he didn't have that guy with him, So I thought that was really interesting that they kind of took this approach. Now, to me, it makes their team better. But as you guys seen on Monday Night Football last night, they're more than just a defensive tackle away, obviously. So I agreed with the move by the Cowboys. I just don't agree with it in the sentiment of why did you ship off Micah Parsons if you're going to go get a guy that, man, it would have been real hard, Tim. Imagine in a pass rushing situation putting Quinnen Williams at 3 tech and Micah Parsons on the other. good luck blocking that front, right?
Absolutely. That's why we wanted to keep Rashawn here if we were going to bring Micah in. And yeah, Williams was one of those guys that I was kind of holding out hope that we might make a move for. But obviously, we didn't have any first rounders to give up.
Right.
We gave those up, and Goot's certainly not going to give up a second. At least apparently that's the truth, as we've passed the deadline already. So good trade for the Cowboys. I wish we could have snagged him. I feel like we could have got a little better too, as a squad right now.
Yeah, and like you said, man, obviously not having the first round pick this year and next year, you probably would have had to give up the rest of your draft, to kind of equate what's on the trade chart there. And yeah, it's also you've got Devontae Wyatt. Like they believe in Devontae Wyatt. I feel firm in that. Now listen, Devontae Wyatt, and I'm going to be honest here, and maybe he'll develop into a better player than Quinnen Williams, but Devontae Wyatt is here, Quinnen Williams is here, right? Yep. But who knows? Devontae Wyatt might step into that level of play in the next year or two. Hopefully this year, by the second half of the season, and then you've got now Micah Parsons, Rashawn Gary, and Devontae Wyatt. Good luck blocking that, And we've also doing some really creative stuff with Quay, which I'll mention here on the back side of the show. So again, Quinnen Williams is now a Dallas Cowboy. I think that's a good move for Dallas. And want to know what everybody thinks in the comments there. If you're watching this video back later, let me know if you think that was a good movie for the Cowboys or not. Now, obviously, the Jets were having a fire sale here, Tim, so they traded off arguably their best player or their second best player, if you think Quinnen Williams is their best player. Adam Schefter tweeted out, ESPN sources Colts are trading 2 first-round picks to the Jets for cornerback Sauce Gardner. This one I feel way different about, Tim. Ain't no way I'm giving up 2 first-round picks for a cornerback. I don't care how good they are. Now, With that being said, the Colts are one of, if not the best teams in the league right now. That could change in the second half of the season. NFL stands for not for long, right? If they continue to play well and now they got a shutdown corner, I can see how it makes sense. But boy, you talking about overpaying 2 first-round picks for a cornerback. I don't care if he's the best corner in the game. How often is your best corner just going to be completely neutralized by them throwing to the opposite side of the field? And if you force yourself to play man coverage, now you're playing into the offense's hands. That was something that was kind of popular about a decade ago. That sense has gone to the wayside. How do you feel about Sauce Gardner, man? Do you agree with me, disagree with me there? Because Sauce Gardner's a great corner, Tim.
Yeah, for sure.
Corner,
Yeah, and a closet Packer fan, right? We all know Sauce secretly wanted to be a Packer more than anything. I think what this signifies is that the Colts are all in right now,
right
at this point in the year. I agree. 2 firsts for a corner, that's crazy. But props to Sauce. My understanding is he was kind of surprised by this deal. I think he found out 15 minutes after the negotiations were finalized or whatever. But hats off to Sauce, man. At least he's going to a contender. He's the hell out of that AFC East for sure. So, but yeah, we didn't have the picks to give him, and even if we did, 2 firsts and Kenny Clark for MP1 is one thing. 2 firsts butt naked through the trailer park for a corner halfway through the year is another. So, maybe it'll work out for the Colts, but clearly that signifies that it's now for Indy, obviously.
No doubt. And listen, he's a great player. He's arguably the best corner in the game. 2-0 for this says you wouldn't give 2 firsts for prime time. Sauce Gardner's a good player, boys. But
corner is not a tier 1 position.
Right, and Sauce Gardner is not prime time. Like, I don't know how old you are, 2-0 for this, and I don't mean this in any disrespectful way. It seems like many people who pretend like these corners in today's game are just as good as Dion was in his prime.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up watching it. Dion was unbelievable. Sauce Gardner's a great player. Dion is top 3, maybe the best corner in the history of the game.
Sauce isn't returning kicks. Sauce isn't playing receiver when you need him to.
I mean, he was just unbelievable, Tim. And when he picked the pass off, the whole offense went, oh, no, everybody get back. because he was going to house that sucker. And
Absolutely.
he was one of those dudes too that he could make your number one receiver disappear. But again, we're talking about a different era of football too, right?
True.
Where they would do that type of stuff. Hey, follow the number one. And in today's offense, in today's NFL, it feels like teams can scheme around that number one, right? There were so many times. I remember Richard Sherman, they had a lot of success, but with Richard Sherman, he only played one side of the field. What teams do? Well, we're just not going to throw over there, right? You can do essentially the same thing if a receiver follows your number one. That's why what Bill Belichick did so well was, he did the bullseye defense where he would put the number one corner on your number two receiver and then double team your number one receiver, forcing you to go to the third best option. And that's why Green Bay Packers and Mike McCarthy had so much success against Bill Belichick. You remember that game at Lambeau Field. It might have been Monday Night Football, if I remember correctly, where Jordy Nelson just went off. It's because they were putting Jordy in the three and just toasting him because that bullseye was completely neutralized. So the game has obviously changed. But yeah, to over this, would I give 2 first-round picks for prime time in his prime if the Super Bowl window is open? Yes.
Yep.
Sauce Gardner isn't prime time.
So, and it's not a knock on Sauce, right?
Right.
Prime's on the level, and maybe Sauce is knocking on the door or something like that. Not a knock on him, right? But he's definitely not prime time.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of a corner that would be in the same league as Sauce. Like, I'm sure Packer fans would go, or I'm not Sauce, but same league as Dion. I'm sure some Packer fans would say Charles Woodson was. Well, Charles Woodson in his Defensive Player of the Year, I can see the argument, but the problem there is they played him mostly in the nickel in the star position, and everything was just kind of, I don't want to say fabricated. I guess that is the right word though. You're kind of molding the defense around. Let's put Charles right in the middle of the defense. Let's fire him on a blitz. Let's drop him off a fire zone blitzes, things like that. And Dion was just a different era. It's hard to really judge that, but I would still, I'm trying to think of another corner, Tim. Can you think of another cornerback in the history of the game that you would say, yes, in their prime, they were better than Deion Sanders in his prime? I just can't. I can't think of one, man. I really can't.
It's tough. It's tough. I don't even want to name names because anyone I could think of right now would just be, maybe an argument, but certainly wouldn't hold a candle to prime.
Mm-hmm. Right. And let's see here. Chuck Jaggers in the chat says prime time. That's it. I think he was referring to the first part of this conversation, right?
For sure.
Joe NC says, wow, how corner isn't a tier 1 position, but Kevin King is legit. The reason we didn't go to the Super Bowl. I
got to disagree.
Yeah,
I got to disagree.
Yeah, it's first of all the play call there. Not only that, but if Kevin King giving up that touchdown before halftime is the reason we didn't go to the Super Bowl, listen, you also had David Bakhtiari go out in that game, if I remember correctly, and then all of a sudden we couldn't block the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
And I'm sure Kevin King didn't say, "Hey, put me on an island right before halftime, all by my lonesome."
Yeah, he should have been playing over the top technique, but still, but that doesn't. Joe, that doesn't mean it makes it all of a sudden a tier 1 position. If that's the case, you could say, okay, when an inside linebacker misses a tackle and somebody houses it for 90 yards, is that all of a sudden a tier 1 position? No, right?
Yep.
So, and again, I'm not telling everybody they have to agree with my tiers. You may think cornerback's more important than defensive tackle or more important than the edge. I just, the football I've studied, I just disagree with that sentiment. Not that Joe is even saying that, but
No.
Let's see here. We got a super chat real quick. Jason Y, appreciate you, buddy. Says, do you guys think the rest of the league caught up to Matt LaFleur's illusion of complexity offense? No. Here's the thing, Jason. When Matt LaFleur was hired, the local media made this out to be this big thing, right? Like, we always talk about the illusion of complexity with simplicity at its base, right? Guys, that's every offense. Like, in the history of the National Football League, everybody runs the same concepts, right? They run the same concepts. They just get to it out of different formations and different looks, right? The illusion of complexity, I would love to ask some of the sports writers, what do you mean by that exactly? Because I think you would ask 5 or 6 different people and they would have different answers, right? Really, when I think of the illusion of complexity, you're running the same concepts. You're making it look different every play, right? Now, in terms of have people caught on to Matt LaFleur's offense, let's just kind of ask the question that way, Jason. I think his offense, it's not like his offense is different than McVay's, or it's different than Shanahan's or anyone else. There's actually a lot of other schemes, that outside of the Shanahan tree and the wide zone boot. I mean, here's a perfect way of explaining that, Jason. Matt LaFleur does not run the same scheme he ran when he took over in Green Bay, right? Everything was predicated off of wide zone boot, meaning you're running outside stretch plays, which is essentially an outside zone play, and your boot action off of that, right? Well, we ran that in a hybrid version of McCarthy's offense those first couple of years that LaFleur was here. And then all of a sudden the RPO game took over the league and everything shifted to mostly RPO. So we were, RPO, outside zone RPO is hard to run because the quarterback has to make a split-second decision of, do I have to take this snap, get my footwork back, and make the stretch throw, or start the stretch throw while still looking down the field and then trying to turn and wing it? 90% of the RPO game comes out of the gun set. So LaFleur came in and we went hybrid, McCarthy, West Coast spread, and wide zone boot. Then we shifted to wide zone boot, RPO. And now we've shifted from that to RPO with duo mostly. And there's a lot of power. Like you're going to see on Chalk Talk tomorrow, we ran a couple counter plays, right? And it was GT counter, essentially what it is. And that's pin and pull, right? We ran some pin and pull when McCarthy was here.
Yep.
So the point I'm trying to make, Jason, everybody runs the same stuff in the league. Everybody. You can look at any offense across the league and you can find the same concepts. You can find the same type of runs. Now, some teams run it more than others, but in terms of just catching up to his illusion of complexity, listen, I think they're learning how to stay at home when you're doing some of this tricanery with the orbit motion and the spinneroo and fake to this guy. Absolutely, completely agree with you there if that's what you're saying, right? But yeah, I think that I will caution people, try to say this in a tactful way. I will caution fans, don't believe everything you hear right now, because I'm telling you, man, there's a lot of content out there where people are just throwing up on their microphone. And they will say something 1 second and 30 seconds later, they'll say something that totally contradicts the point that they were just hammering home, to the point where they had a vein popping out of their forehead. It's like,
just because you're loud and frothing at the mouth or typing your tweets in all caps doesn't mean you're correct.
Yeah. Right. So again, thank you for that super chat, Jason. Hopefully that answered your question. I know it's a boring answer, but everybody's running the same stuff. It's how much of that stuff is this offense running as opposed to this one. It's just like 12 personnel. We were a little surprised this year that we pressed so hard into 12 personnel. And then we get halfway through the season and the analytics are coming out going, hey, the highest rate of success is actually coming out of 12 and 13 personnel. Now, why is that? The reason being is you've got defenses that are matching personnel, meaning if you come out in 11 personnel, they're going to match you with nickel no matter what the formation is, right? If you come out in 12 personnel, they're going to match it with base. If you come out with 13, they got to make a decision. Do we go even heavier than base with like a 4-4 or a 5-2 look? And what that does is that will open up the passing game, and that's what LaFleur has done. It's one of the reasons why LaFleur and the Packers offense is third in passing right now. People don't know that. Packers are actually third in passing yards per pass attempt right now. And we're screaming and frothing at the mouth or foaming at the mouth on Sunday going, hey, we need to be more aggressive. We need to pass the ball. And I'm like, are we watching the same game? Anyway, Chris Casual says, I don't think so. Clayton White never had the Quinnen pedigree. Quinnen's a freak, right, Chris? There's no two ways about it. Devontae Wyatt is a pass rushing defensive tackle. That's what he is, right? He's a true 3-tech pass rusher. He's gotten better at playing the run, I believe, but he's a true 3-tech pass rusher. Quinnen Williams can do it all, man. He can bully a double team into the lap of the quarterback. He can beat you with a pass rush, and he plays the run really well too. I mean, he had like 4 or 5 years where he's grading out in the 90s. Guys, that's Micah Parsons top grades, right? So Devontae Wyatt hasn't gotten there yet. Hopefully he does, but yeah, I'm with you, Chris. I don't think he's got that pedigree, but yeah. So and then 2-0 for this says maybe Darrelle Revis. That's a good one. That's a
great one right there. Darrelle Revis, man.
They said, but only in terms of erasing players. And again, that was like that era was starting to come to an end of the number one corner following the number one receiver, right? Because they played a lot of man coverage. And the one I remember is Rex Ryan's defense, right? He had kind of a hybrid version of his daddy's 46 defense, Buddy Ryan with the 85 Bears.
Yep.
Yeah, and he mixed in man coverage with it, and Revis would just follow the number one. So that was an interesting time. And you notice that he didn't last in the league very long. Rex Ryan didn't. He had a lot of success, right? He made it to the AFC Championship with Mark Sanchez as your freaking quarterback. That says enough in itself. But yeah, I think Revis is of all the people we named. I'm gonna get raked over the coals for this, Tim. But I'm just gonna be honest. That's what I feel like you guys want me to do, whether you agree with me or not. I think I put Revis a little bit higher than Charles Woodson. Don't hate me, but Revis.
Now, Champ Bailey was mentioned in the chat.
Oh, Champ Bailey was good.
Champ Bailey was a dog too, but I don't think he struck fear in the hearts of men quite the way that Dion did in his prime.
Yeah, definitely. So again, I didn't expect the conversation to go in that direction. That was fun though, guys. Appreciate that. If you're watching this video back later, let us know in the comments, what do you think about the trade deadline? I felt like it was a fun trade deadline. The Packers were in on some conversations. Michael Mayer, they were in on that.
Yep.
Man, I was hoping they'd pull the trigger on it, Tim, just because I'm a big Notre Dame fan. And if they could get he's playing his best football right now, but he's the number 2 tight end, obviously, in Vegas behind Brock Bowers. So if he becomes a true number 1 tight end, a wide tight end in a pro offense, maybe he's not as effective, right? With Brock Bowers taking some of that attention away from him. But let us know in the comments, guys, if you're watching this back later, what did you think about the trade deadline? Is there anything you agree with, disagree with what we said? Also, make sure you click like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you're notified when we go live here in the future. All right, Tim, let's shift gears, man. Let's talk a little Packers roster shakeup here, man. This was an interesting day, I thought. And listen, I've been sharing Easton Butler's tweets. Guys, Easton Butler has been spot on. Yep. The stuff that he's covered, man, all the way down to the players' numbers. He's got the players' numbers before it hits anybody else. Anybody who thinks Easton Butler doesn't have an inside link there to the Packers, it's either jealousy or you're in denial, right? So
sit your butt outside.
There were people that were replying to tweets I had earlier on, this guy's a fraud. He doesn't know anything. And I'm like, boy, y'all haven't been following him very close, have you? So anyway,
or you're too overly emotional and reading things that aren't there. You know, right. Like one thing I've noticed following Easton Butler is that it's just facts. You know, calls were made, conversations are being had. There's no hype. There's no, specifics or anything. He's just calling it like he sees it for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Jen Wright says Sadie has to defend this report. And it's so true. And it's just best to block those people, man. That's what I do. Just, you know what, if you disagree with what I have to say, why are you even following me? Why are you following along? So
if you hear someone say, hey, phone calls were made and there's conversations happening and then nothing happens, does that mean you're incorrect? Or does that mean that you just reported that there's conversations happening? Right.
Exactly. So I put a tweet out and said, for all those in the comments saying Easton Butler doesn't know what he's talking about, Matt Schneiden actually tweeted out 1 hour ago before we went live, the Packers are looking into the possibility of signing free agent cornerback Asante Samuel Jr. According to a source, nothing definitive, but there's interest. All right. And he's got more here. Go check his article out over at NewYorkTimes.com over at The Athletic. Now, I've been chatting with Easton Butler, and the reality is, guys, Asante Samuel was in-house. I think it was last week. I believe it was either last week or last month. So, yeah, that's real, know. And now you get Matt Schneiden, who obviously is a more decorated reporter. He's one of my favorite beat guys, to be honest with you. I love his sense of humor. I love the way he covers the game. Him and Bill Huber, I think, do a great job. But he's pretty much confirming exactly what Easton Butler had talked about. I kind of wish Matt Schneiden would say, hey, Easton Butler was all over this first, but yeah. And this is what he said.
But again, we're talking about conversations, right?
Right, exactly.
We're talking about meetings. We're talking about, and Asante Samuel Jr. is a free agent. So that's got to be conversation between him and his representation, no more, no less, right?
Definitely. So what Matt Schneiden tweeted out was the Packers are looking into the possibility of signing free agent cornerback Asante Samuel Jr. According to a source, nothing definitive, but there's interest. Basically the same thing that Easton Butler has been saying the entire time, right? Now, there was somebody in the chat here that says, here we go. Sorry, Tim. I didn't mean to step on you there. Holmes MD1 said, I would take a flyer on ASJ for a year or two. I would too, Holmes. But like Tim pointed out, there's other people, right, there's other people that are seeking him too. So it's, if you go in there and go, yeah, let's do a 1 year deal, he's probably going to go, stick it up your rear end. I'm going over here where they offer
I'm
me.
thinking he's going to want a 2-year minimum, right?
I
Probably
think
at least a 2-year, even if it's a fake year, right?
I think it's more about the guaranteed money. And what I mean by
Yeah.
that is let's say a team offers him 2 years, 10 million with 5 million guaranteed.
He's signing that.
Well, think if we offered him 1 year, 8 million, or 1 year, 10 million, or I'm sorry, 1 year, 8 million fully guaranteed. He's probably going to take the 1 year because he's getting 3 extra million in guarantee.
More guaranteed. Yep.
Yeah. So you protect yourself from that fusion that he's gotten, right? So what was the comment you want to hit there, Tim? I'm sorry, man.
Just too old for this here. Butler clarified every single time he has said something that calls don't mean sure things, but people still acted like he was saying it was done deals. And that's exactly what I was saying. Yeah, a lot of these, accounts and, we'll speak specifically about Easton Butler, man. It's just facts. He's plugged in, he's aware of what's going on, and he's not setting narrative. He's just telling you what he's privy to, so shout out to Too Old for this, for acknowledging that. That's exactly what we saw all day online, right? And he almost said this and nothing happened after the deadline. It's like, bro, nobody said it was a done deal. We said there were conversations. Relax.
It's right there with the people that are all week long. They said nothing about they should start Haversick over McManus. And then the second McManus misses a kick, like, how do you march him out there like that? And it's like, Bub, show us your comments earlier in the week where you were saying they shouldn't. That's that whole Monday morning quarterback and stuff, which most of those people, when they're doing their watch parties, they're drunk as a skunk, don't remember anything anyway. That's a story for another day. Rob Domofsky with a tweet here. Packers roster moves. So tight end Tucker Kraft officially goes to the IR. We all knew it was coming. Obviously, it goes without saying, the ACL. Excited about the comeback story there for Tucker Kraft. Now, defensive lineman Aaron Mosby, tight end Josh Wall to the active roster from the practice squad. So I've seen some people reporting too that you'll notice down here the next line, Tim, tight end McCollin Castles, tight end Drake Dabney, linebacker Christian Welch, wide receiver Michael Woods II to the practice squad. And they were going, McCollin is replacing Tucker Kraft. And I'm going,
no, incorrect.
Josh Wall is the one on the active roster. Now, maybe they know something I don't know. That's possible. And Josh Wall gets cut, right?
Let me be clear. You don't replace Tucker Kraft. There's no replacing that guy.
Yeah, that's a very, very good point, man. So Josh Wall is the one that we need to key in on, though. And I, just watching the tape, guys, I went back today when I got through with Chalk Talk and putting everything together. I went back and watched all of Musgrave's snaps, okay, from this year. And there are times that he's technically playing the Y, but in those times they have Tucker playing the U, motioning out in RPO flats and stuff. So they did become somewhat predictable with Tucker. Not that it mattered because he's just running through cats' faces all day long, right? Yep. But the point is, I think what you're going to get with Musgrave is he's most of the time going to play U, and I wouldn't be surprised if Fitzpatrick becomes the Y. Now, what does that mean? In 12 personnel. That means the guy on the line of scrimmage is the true Y. Okay, the guy playing off the line of scrimmage is going to be your U, and he's typically your motion guy moving back and forth, right? So with that being said, in 12 personnel, I think Fitzpatrick will be on the line because he's a better blocker than Musgrave. But when you go to 11 personnel, I think Musgrave is going to get a large majority of the snaps as the Y in 11 personnel over Fitzpatrick, obviously. Now, there'll be a little bit of a rotation because they even did that with Tucker. They would take Tucker off the field occasionally, put Fitzpatrick in there at Y. Now, most of the time that was a running play, and maybe that is predictable, right? It kind of goes back to what Jason Y was talking about the, if people caught on to the scheme. Mike McCarthy was really, really good at self-scouting, and not that Matt LaFleur and his staff isn't, but you self-scout every week and make sure you're not becoming too predictable. I think they need to kind of maybe key in on that a little bit more, because if this dumb redneck is picking up going, okay, yeah, well, that makes you can see that coming a mile away that they were going to use the tight end in that fashion, then I know the smartest coaches in the league can spot it, if that makes sense. So, Tim, I think what you're going to see here, long story short, is you're going to see in 12 personnel, Fitzpatrick attached on the line, Musgrave moving around like the U. And then when you go to 11 personnel, it's going to predominantly be Musgrave with Fitzpatrick filling in. And then Wild will be now become the Fitzpatrick of the offense, if that makes sense.
Definition of next man up, right? Everybody moves up a notch, get down or lay down, right? And if you're laying down, there's no room for you. makes a lot of sense why there's 2 more tight ends on the practice squad right now.
Yeah.
And shout out to Lasita Smith, by the way. That's kind of on a personal level, it's hard to see him released. Just helped him and a couple other Packers just helped build a home with Habitat for Humanity up here in Green Bay for a veteran. So big shout out to Lasita Smith, a guy that trying to find a way onto this team, and just ultimately it's a business, and was released. So we wish him the best. Thank you for your service, Mr. Smith. 3-4 months in Green Bay, already making an impact in the community. So big shout out Lasita Smith.
Absolutely. So, and who knows, Tim? He may be back, right?
He may be back, right? Hopefully.
Now, again, tight end Drake Dabney, McCollin Castles, and then you got linebacker Christian Welch, wide receiver Michael Woods the second to the practice squad. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on all that. I want to touch on what Coach Lynn says here. I want Belton at tight end, extra lineman with Musgrave playing the U. Hey, this is called, technically it'd be U71. Remember the U71 bacon that we talked with when we had Mike Wall on the show years ago? He would talk about Kevin Berry playing I think it was Kevin Berry or Kyle Berry. Kevin Berry, that's right. Kevin Berry would play U71 bacon. They bring in that extra tight end. So here's the thing with that, Coach. There's 2 ways you can approach it, right? You can go press into 11 personnel now, or you can press into, like you're saying, a heavier look. Now, I will say this. I think we're one of only 3 teams that has not lined up all year long, that has not lined up a offensive lineman at tight end this year. I believe I read that correctly somewhere on social media. If that is indeed true, okay, so maybe that changes. I'm not opposed to it, Coach, but here's the way I look at it. As Bill Belichick always said, and he got this from Bill Walsh back in the 80s. Players win them and coaches lose them, right? The goal is get your best players on the field. So my question would be, and again, it doesn't mean it never should happen, Coach, having an extra lineman out there. But my question would be, who's the better player, right? Anthony Belton, or let's say a Matthew Golden, let's say a Christian Watson, or Romeo Dobbs, or Jaden Reed when he comes back, right? And maybe before Jaden Reed comes back, you press into what Coach Lynn's saying here a little bit, and dabble in that a touch, see if it sparks a running game. That might be the approach too. So for me, man, I would rather see them press into 11 and run out of 11 personnel, and let's spread things out a bit, which you guys remember, I said this last year too. Like, I want to be very, very clear, Tim. It's a very biased opinion because I like more spread approach. When Matt LaFleur came in with the condensed sets, I was like, I don't like this. And then Aaron Rodgers wins 2 MVPs. You win 13 games, and Clayton had to go, set your ego down, bub. They're doing something right, and
love that bunch nasty X now, right, Clay?
Yes. So, the approach is when you go spread, you open the defense up and you can run inside, right? Well, when you go with the condensed sets, you can now run outside because everybody's compacted in. Well, the problem is you're going condensed sets, in my opinion. And again, I'm not a former player or a coach or anything like that. But when you go condensed sets and you run in the middle, to me, you're playing into the teeth of the defense. I think that's what's wrong with the running game a little bit. But again, that was my answer last year as well. And I wasn't a big fan of the SIF block. Now there was times it would spring people in the split flow looks and things like that. But I would like to see them get a little wider. I would like to see them spread it out, run inside, condense it down, run outside. It's like they're terrified, Tim, to get back to the wide zone run with Josh Jacobs because it doesn't fit his skill set. Josh Jacobs can run wide zone. You see that boy cut on a dime, and that's people hear wide zone, they hear stretch, whatever you want to call it, 26, 25. When you see these type of runs, people immediately think, oh, they're running to the sideline. No, stretch is to get the defense flowing horizontally and then cut back off of it. I mean, you want to get a guess on that or a good look at that. I hate to do this, but go back and watch the Denver Broncos of the 90s. They were the ones who basically invented that. Yeah, not invented it, but they perfected it. Lombardi actually invented the zone blocking scheme. Many people don't know that. But
Terrell Davis running over people's faces all day long. Yeah.
And what they did there was you had old man Shanahan, Mike Shanahan, right? Old man, that's hilarious. You have Mike Shanahan, who came from the Bill Walsh tree. He said, all right, I'm going to take Bill Walsh's West Coast offense, short passing game, and then I'm going to marry it up with Alex Gibbs' zone blocking scheme. And what formed out of that was a wide zone boot scheme. How many times did we see that freaking John Elway?
Yeah.
Terrell
That's why
Davis
they kept running it, because nobody could do anything with it.
Terrell Davis running the ball down your throat, and then he would boot off of it with his mobility and arm strength. And it was just like, Lord, how do you stop this? Right. So, yeah. But Coach, I think I would not be surprised one bit if we see what you're suggesting here, man. I really wouldn't. I'm just more along the lines of I would rather see him press into 11. Malik Heath, guys, I think he's way underrated, man. He may prove me wrong if he gets an extra, 20 targets or whatever. He may just start sucking. But up to this point, boy, does he maximize his opportunities. And
love Malik Heath, man. I haven't loved anybody wearing 18 in Green Bay since Randall Cobb.
There you go. Let's talk about Josh Wild for a minute. I know there's many people going, who is this guy, right? What has he done? And listen, he may end up being the number 3 tight end for a while. He may be here for a week and a half and he's gone, Tim. But here is who Josh Wild is. All right. So first of all, he's 6'6". Some people said 6'7". It could be, right? But they got him on PFF at 6'6". He runs a 4.69 40-yard dash. He was a former 5th-round pick of the Tennessee Titans in 2023.
Thick.
This is his 2024 grades, Tim. So he doesn't have any grades in 2025. You can see, man, he peaked at 86.2 on however many, 4 targets there. I'm trying to see the snap. I don't have the snaps. That's okay, though. So in 2024, his best grade was an 86.2. His worst grade, however, was a 45.3. But the majority of them, it looks like, were somewhere between 60 and 70, for the most part. Maybe more 50s than 70s. So
probably if you look at the targets, they're on the lower end for his lower grades.
Right. Which, again, that's what we were talking about, right? It's like he's not going to be the focal point when he's in there.
Exactly.
So now let's look at his career grades, okay? 2023 is 62, and he was targeted 15 times. Those targets more than doubled in 2024 to 36, and his grade went up to a 64.8. Tim, that's pretty solid grade, man, for a young player who's getting limited action. That means limited practice reps too. So
almost like the front office knows ball, and that's why he's in the fold right now.
Right, and I'm excited to see what he does, man. I really am. Again, I don't know how long he's going to be here, but you're going to be seeing Josh Wild. There's no two ways about it. He's going to be in the lineup from time to time. So that is your new tight end that I think will be on the active roster, at least for the foreseeable future. Now, obviously, we've talked a little bit about Musgrave, Tim. Let's hit on this, and then we'll move on to the next topic. I just put this out. This was one of his grabs. It's more about the situation where he makes this grab, Tim. That got me fired up. I tweeted this out. Jordan Love to Luke Musgrave for 21 yards on the game-tying fourth-quarter drive. Okay, that's important, guys. You're talking about you're trying to go down and tie the ball game up at the very end of the game, and they connect on a 21-yard game, which, by the way, that's an explosive. That triples your chances of scoring on that drive. Therefore, this is the play that set up the game-tying score, right? I said one thing that pops off Love's tape recently is he's developing touch on intermediate passes. I'm excited to see what Musgrave can do with more opportunities. In this particular game, guys, 3 targets, 3 catches, including this one, like I said, in the fourth quarter. Let's roll it real quick, and we'll give you just 1 or 2 looks at it here. So you see the play fake. That's that orbit fake we were talking about. Not a big fan, Tim, right? Just because, you see everybody flow in that direction, yes, but does it freeze enough? It's more about the cross corner route that you're seeing here. Notice Musgrave is going to run a cross corner, and also Dobby is going to bend in and run a corner route. So what you set up for Jordan here is kind of a boot action play where you got a high-low read. You read the corner up top down to the cross corner. So you're reading up top, mid-level, and then you could dump it off to Savion if you need to as well. And Savion could turn into a blocker if Jordan wants to run. It's more of a true play action set than a boot, obviously. But you see Musgrave right here making his cut back outside. Look at the touch on that throw.
Oh, and I love zero hesitation either. You see as soon as he's into that break, Jordan's letting that thing fly. And I love it.
No doubt about it, man. So, again, I thought that was a nice little play there. Musgrave does a good job hauling it in. Now, listen, it could have been a better ball. Don't get me wrong. Let's watch it one more time. I think what Musgrave did there, Tim, was he's just proving that he's I think he's ready for the task. Now, I don't expect him to be the yak god that Tucker Kraft is. Anybody who expects that, man, you're setting yourself up to be disappointed. But I think what he does do is he runs clean routes. He's got good hands. He's got a size advantage when you want to take a shot on a linebacker or a safety. And I think he'll be a nice little fill in there. You'll want to put Fitzpatrick in a position to block the majority of the time, but there's going to be times in 11 personnel that Musgrave's going to have to block. So
that's what I talked about last night. We want the piss a little hotter in the blocking scheme for Musgrave. That's really the one part of his game that me personally, I'd like to see him kind of take that next step, but I'm not worried about him as a route runner and a pass catcher. Looking at that play, I mean, you're right. If Jordan puts a slightly better ball, maybe you get a little yak on that, but I think he saw that help, biting down over the top, and he just wanted to get that thing in Musgrave's hands. And great hands catch, turn up field. Musgrave stayed on his feet. Let's go. And, another thing we can't forget is the trust factor is there. That's already been built. The foundation is there. Jordan trusts Luke Musgrave as a pass catcher. And you can see it right there on that play. No hesitation whatsoever. It's real easy to take another hitch and maybe try to go to another read in that situation. He fired that tater right away. I love it.
Definitely. Jake with the super chat. Appreciate you, buddy. When Jordan gets his deep ball down and hits receivers in stride, 40-plus yards, he'll be great. Yeah, that's one part of his game he can work on for sure. Although that ball he put on Christian Watson, boy, I don't know how you throw it any better.
Like Emilio said, right in his face mask.
I mean, he just put it right on his face mask. And Christian Watson looks so smooth, just falling backwards, making that grab. Oh, it's awesome.
You think Scoot's taking protein powder and hitting the gym thinking maybe he can play a little tight end in a pinch?
Oh, you know it. And Jake, we're actually going to hit that next. We're going to talk Christian Watson here in a second. Thank you for the super chat, buddy. 2-0 for this. Musgrave needs to start eating mac and cheese. Yes. Yes, sir. Get it in your system there, Musgrave. 2-0 for this says if the ball is right on 88's hands, he will catch it. If it's off, then that's where I get nervous. He also seems to have a lot of miscommunication issues, hopefully with him being tight end one that clears. That's what I was going back to over this. Like in those situations where you're in 11 personnel, he's not getting as many practice reps as Tucker was with Jordan, right? So they're going to start to develop a little more chemistry. That chemistry they kind of had his rookie year where he had, before he got hurt, he had over 400 yards receiving, right? His grade was like a 68 PFF grade. But then when he got hurt in his second year, Tucker just took that job and ran with it, right? So
that's a great point, Clayton, saying that like now that he's in the one, he's going to get those reps, the communications, the checks, the cans, those kind of things, right? Choice route, post snap kind of busted play, scramble drill. Yeah. Those kind of things are going to come together for Musgrave.
I think that's one thing that us fans, myself especially, overlook from time to time. We get so caught up with what happens on Sunday that it's easy to formulate an opinion, just like people raking the coaching staff over the coals for not starting Haversick over McManus. Guys, they watched them kick all week. Do you think for a second they went with the worst kicker on purpose? Like, you know what I mean? Like what it tells me is McManus looked good in practice. Now, I think he kind of overthought it in the game. Now, listen, that's not to say McManus is the kicker of the future. They may cut ties with him after this year. The reality is they could free up almost, I think it's $1.6 million in cap space next year if they cut him outright. So it's really, they got a 1 year out. It's a 3-year deal with a 1 year out. And then they could just move along with Haversick. I just like the idea that they got both there. And nobody's more upset about missing that kick than obviously than McManus is. So again, if you guys are watching this video back later, let us know what you think about the latest Packers roster moves. Let us know about the tight end position. How do you feel about Musgrave? How do you feel about Weil? Do you think that they'll keep Weil? Do you think they'll move on from him and maybe bring up one of these practice squad tight ends and put them in the lineup? Make sure you hit subscribe, hit like, let us know what you think in the comments, and click that bell icon when you're so you're notified when we go live here in the future. Let's see what we got here, Tim, before we move on to the next spot. Holmes says, Tim, the piss heater upgrade will be complete for Monday's contest. Fingers crossed.
I absolutely love it. I'll be in the building. I hope the piss is hot for 88 on Monday. We're going to need them. We are. Philly is no joke, right?
Mandy's trying to talk me into going up there. She's like, we can hop on a flight. We can be up there in a couple of days. We can get in. I'm going, stop it. Just stop it. You're going to. This girl.
I'll pick you up from Strauble. No problem. I got you, Clay.
I know you do, man. And listen, I'm saying stop it because she knows all she got to do is she ain't got to push very hard, and I'm on that plane, man. I'm up there with my
scared money don't make money.
There you go. All right, let's shift gears, guys. I'm excited about talking about this. Christian Watson, guys. Man, oh man. He is I want to choose my words kind of carefully here, Tim, but the numbers are suggesting he's better than he was before he got hurt. And And I'll explain why here in a second. Let's jump into a little bit of tape. We'll be highlighting this on Chalk Talk in great detail tomorrow. I'll show you what the exact play is. This is Christian Watson picking up right where he left off in 2024, where he finished second in yards per reception. Guys, he was only behind Alec Pierce at 21.4 yards per reception last year. 2 games in, albeit it's only 2 games, right, into 2025. Guys, he's averaging 23.8 yards per catch right now. And this is that play we were talking about, Tim. This right here.
Bucket, man. You got help coming over the top.
Look at this.
Look at that ball.
And, I know there's some fans that think, man, why didn't he put it out here so he can lead in stride? If he overthrows him,
it's a pick.
I don't necessarily know if it's a pick, but it's just if he overthrows him, how many times have we heard that? Oh, there's another overthrow. There's another overthrow. I love that if anything, he's putting more air under it, Tim, rather than playing it safe. It kind of like with the Matthew Golden throw. You play that a little bit safer, right? It's a smaller receiver. And if Golden makes that diving catch, boy, oh boy, that's awesome. But with Christian, I think a little more air under it because he's going to do this, man. I mean, this catch, I'm going to go quarter speed. Just the way he hauls this thing in, man. Look at him. Look how comfortable he looks as he goes in the air into the ground, sacrificing his body completely. Bang.
And late as hell hands, too. Look at the hands.
Oh, yeah. No doubt about it, man.
Right up, just in time to grab that football. I love it. The only reason I said maybe it's a pick is with that help coming over. If he leads him a couple yards to the boundary, maybe that DB runs underneath it. But
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Just great job by Scoot, though, knowing his body in space, knowing how to stutter step there at the end and kind of, leave yourself open and make that grab. If he mistimes that even by a half a second, we got disaster. It doesn't matter what kind of ball Jordan throws him, right?
Aaron, shoot. It looks like Aaron to me. Jordan,
right?
Oh, man. I mean, just looks so
that's an Aaron Rodgers throw because what does he see there? He sees the nameplate on the back of the DB's jersey. I'm letting that thing fly, right?
Hook it up. No doubt, man. So, again, just an awesome play. And guys, that's the numbers, right? I'm going to jump into the next-gen stats here real quick with Christian Watson and give you guys an idea of what I'm talking about here as well. We'll try to get it zoomed in. If you guys can't see it, I will read it off to where you know what we're talking about here. So when you go to yards per reception, notice the qualified receivers only is not checked. And it's because qualified receivers is going to remove Christian Watson from this because he's only got 8 targets, right? 8 targets. So he's ran 53 routes, 8 targets. His average is 23.8 yards per target. Now you'll notice Drake Young it doesn't show the team there. Yeah, it won't give me. It's just got the color code. So Drake Young has got 24 yards per reception. Gunnar Olszewski, same thing, but you'll notice 5 routes, 9 routes, right? Only 1 target, 2 targets. Christian Watson's been targeted 8 times. So if you were to sort it by like 5 targets, Christian Watson all of a sudden jumps to number 3 on this list, right? Where Tutu Atwell has got 9 targets. He's averaging 41 yards a catch. He's been a big play threat there. And then Cody White, only 2 targets at 60 yards per catch, which is a wild statistic. So again, with Christian Watson, man, he's already starting off faster this year, 23.8 yards per reception. That number will probably go down. But, boy, if it goes up 10, we got something special with Christian Watson. And his PFF grade is already exceeding the pace that he's had the last 3 years as well. So, again, that's why we look at the PFF grade. We look at the next-gen stats. We just showed you the tape. Christian Watson looks like he is hungry as ever, dude. I'm so excited about it. His catch rate over expected, plus 27% there as well. So, if we were to sort it by that, of course, it's going to crap out on us. That's the way that works, right, Tim? Let's see if we can refresh.
I agree with you, though. Scoot's back like he never left, right? And I'd be willing to bet maybe those numbers do come up, and he continues to build on this because, losing Tuck Norris, man, he's going to be, Scoot's going to be a focal point. If he already isn't in this offense, which clearly he is, he's really going to be a focal point. Now, I'm not saying, force the ball to him, all this kind of stuff, but That's our guy. That's our field stretcher. I fully expect him to continue to build on these numbers, and they probably will go up as we progress throughout the season.
Yeah, and Christian Watson, again, his catch rate over expected, plus 27%. That's 9th best in the league, but notice the guys above him, 1 target, 2 targets, 2 targets, 1 target, 3 target, 2 target, 1 target, 1 target. What that means is if you were to set it to 5 targets minimum, right, then he would have the best catch rate over expected of any wide receiver in the league right now. Also, Tim, this is what we just talked about. Look at Malik Heath, 25.8%. He's 13th on this list. And once again, if you sorted it by 5 targets, a minimum of 5 targets, Malik Heath would only be behind DeAndre Hopkins and Christian Watson if you sorted it by 5 targets.
That's another name to look at too, right? Until we get, I heard Wicks might be back soon. Hopefully that's good news for us. Bird should be back soon. But in the meantime, in between time, man, Malik Heath might get a little bit more targets in the pass game, I think. He's more than just an absolute dog in the, the run blocking scheme and, pass pro and things like that. But we know Malik Heath is definitely a contested catch king for sure.
Right.
Really good hands. And I agree with your assessment. I think he's highly underrated as a receiver in the NFL. So hopefully we see a little bit more of him going forward.
His yak over expected too, Tim, is a plus 10. Plus 10 is his yak over expected for Malik Heath. His average yards per target is 9.2. Christian Watson's 22.5. Guys, that means when he is targeted, he's averaging 20. You're averaging getting 22.5 yards per target. That's just absolutely insane. I'm pretty sure that's what that is. Yeah, average yards per target. There you go. So let's sort it now by just team. Let's hop in here and look at the Packers as a team. All right. So if we sort by catch rate over expected, Christian Watson all of a sudden leading the team at 27%, yep. Malik Heath 25.8%, Matthew Golden plus 10.3%. Again, guys, catch rate over expected is higher. Romeo Doubs is at a plus 7.8. Matthew Golden is a plus 10.3. He just needs more opportunities is all it is. Right.
It's coming, right? It's coming for MG. Just be patient. It's coming.
And when you sort by receiving EPA, Matthew Golden leads the Packers at plus 17.5. Romeo Doubs is second at 13.1. Malik Heath 7.5. And then you have Christian Watson at a plus 5.3. Jaden Reed, obviously minimal snaps there. So again, man, what you've got with Matthew Golden is a guy that, in my opinion, the only thing he's lacking is the targets. When you go catch percentage, right, his catch rate, Malik Heath still at 100%. Savion Williams, I know he had the fumble, but he's 100% catch rate right now. Matthew Golden, 79.3%. Again, if you're buying into that fear porn of this guy, oh my God, Matthew Golden's a bust, this and that, it's because he's not getting the targets, guys. That's essentially what it comes down to. Like, look at his targets. He's played he's run 177 routes. He's only gotten 29 targets, and he's made 23 catches. He's caught 23 of his 29 targets for 262 yards, right?
So if you were to on my back, dude.
Remember what I said about Romeo Doubs. Romeo Doubs is your X. They're moving Romeo around a little bit more. When they move Romeo around, guess who becomes the X? It's Matthew Golden. If you gave Matthew Golden the same amount of targets as Romeo Doubs right now, let's say we would essentially
Rome's at like 23%.
What's that?
Rome's at like 23% targets.
Of the targets of the team?
Of his routes. So like of the 225, he's 23%, those 52.
Okay, gotcha. So if you were to double Matthew Golden's targets, which would put you in about the range of Romeo Doubs has 441 yards receiving. If you double Matthew Golden's numbers, he's going to be over 500 yards receiving. Let's just be a little bit conservative, 510, 520 yards. So we're all looking at Romeo Doubs. Romeo's a great player, right? I think we would all agree. So he's got 4 touchdowns, 441 yards receiving. If Matthew Golden got the same amount of targets as Romeo Doubs, his numbers would be better than Romeo Doubs. That's not to put Romeo down. People are going to try to take it as that. That's not the case. I'm simply saying the people who are pretending like Matthew Golden's a bust, guys, he's not getting the targets that Romeo's getting. The same people that think he's a bust thinks Romeo's a great receiver. It's like, I'm not saying Romeo isn't a great receiver, although I wouldn't say Romeo's a great receiver. I would say he's a very good receiver. That's my opinion.
I just caught the ball.
That's what he does. So, again, we got to pump the brakes on this whole Matthew Golden. When's he going to break out? When's he not? And people are like, well, this team, look at how they utilize their rookie receiver. That's cool. Every team's different, man. Every team's different with how they distribute the ball, right? Mm-hmm. And, so, Emilio, what's your take on this, man? We were kind of – it's geared around Christian Watson. I feel like he's off to a faster start, man. This guy, 23.8 yards per reception, bro. Last year he was 21.
Yeah, I heard you talking about it. And when you said that, you didn't want to say it, but maybe he's coming back a little bit better than before the injury. Like I said, I lost
10, 15 pounds after the torn ACL, and I ran faster than I ever had before. So I'll take it, whatever it was. If it was the muscle loss in my other, in my torn leg, whatever. But, I'm not worried about that with Christian. And I think there's a possibility, right? If you get past that head issue of, is it okay? Is it okay? Does it feel safe? To, dude, I'm crushing it right now. Like this, we're cooking. I'm back to playing ball like I have been since I was 6. So, and once you get into that headspace and he gets into a rhythm, it's over. It was DJ was asking Coach Harbaugh when they were, was talking Chargers with him. He goes, what's it like with the run game? Like, you get your quarterbacks into a rhythm and stuff like that. Is there anything you can do with that, with the run game? He goes, all of sports is about a rhythm, right? He goes, it doesn't matter what sport you're playing, what you're doing. I mean, you could be even dance. It's whatever. It's you got to have a little bit of rhythm. You got to have a feel. You've heard Josh talk about it. And it's not just for the quarterback, right? That's for the O-lineman getting into a rhythm, going downhill, not always back on their heels. That's for, the running back. And so it's just something that maybe Matt needs to feel out a little bit better, or that we just need to hammer out before, January comes around. We need to figure out what the rhythm of this team is, and kind of take it that way.
Yeah. And I think most of that is, there's all these moving parts, right? Your offensive line has been shuffled all year long. So you can't really get that right. You don't have the same 5 out there, right? Another thing too is like, now you're dealing with Tucker Kraft going down. So now we got to get acclimated with Luke Musgrave as the top tight end. Jaden Reed was obviously the receiver that Jordan Love's had the most success with. He goes down with an injury. Christian Watson wasn't back. Now all of a sudden you're leaning on Romeo and Matthew Golden, a first-round pick. So you really haven't had an opportunity to find that rhythm, right, Amelia? And what's crazy is we all agree they're not completely in sync. They're not completely in rhythm. But look at their offensive ranking anyway. Scoring, they're 10th in the league. Mm-hmm. Passing, they're 3rd in yards per pass attempt. Rushing, they're 23rd. That's what needs the help. There were people talking about, we need cornerbacks. Why don't we trade for a corner? Why don't we go get I love the Asante Samuel Jr. signing if they do that, because that's a free agent. Yeah. You don't get no picks, right? And in my opinion, you don't need corners that bad. Look at the defensive side of things, guys. We're 8th in scoring defense, number 1 in passing defense, yards per pass attempt, and 9th in rushing. So I don't feel like you need a corner. If anything, go get a tier 1 position in a D tackle. You don't need another edge. I think we would all agree there. But go get you a D tackle is the only person I would really want. Other than that, I was kind of coming into the trade deadline going, damn it, I'm not seeing many offensive linemen available. And that's what I think we need,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know what I'm going to say, Clay? We're missing my boy, Mr. Glover, man. Could you imagine? But just hear me out on this real quick. Could you imagine the playing time that Glover would have got this year?
Oh my God!
And just actual legit good reps in season, not in a playoff game against Jalen Carter, right? So and it really just would have benefited the man. But yeah, it's it was a big loss at the beginning of the season. You've been chasing that rabbit ever since.
Yeah, definitely. Tim, you got anything you want to add to this, man? What we're specifically talking about here with the rank? I wanted to keep it around offense. We're going to talk defense in a minute. I know you'll get excited about that, but what do you think about what we got here in terms of the offensive rankings? Because again, the running game has just not got going yet, right? And what's crazy is you got it going this last game, and that helps those numbers, obviously, where you were averaging over 6 yards a carry at a point in the game. I think it fell down to 5 yards a carry. So that's getting a little bit better from your season average or whatever it is, 3.8 or whatever it was coming into the game.
I think a lot of it stems from the I don't want to say issues, but the issue we have with musical chairs on the offensive line. I think it explains why it's been difficult to run the football at times. I don't put that on Josh Jacobs or Emmanuel Wilson. I think, we know this old line can pass block and pass pro. But when it comes to, putting somebody in the dirt and, run blocking, it can be a little bit touch and go sometimes. So I think if we get some continuity on that O-line, we get some of these guys back from injury. To Emilio's point, we always joke about it. It would be nice to have Travis Glover right now, because I believe he would have a ton of snaps at this point in the offense. And then, going back to your point about Scoot too, being out of the fold for so long, Emilio, you probably can speak to this when you miss time with that injury, your anxiety and, excitement to be back on the field really tells you when you get out there. And big props to the Packers. He was, Scoot was on a little bit of a snap count against Pittsburgh, but I think that's over with now. I think it's clear to everyone that's watching tape on him that he's 100%, or this is what 100% looks like for Christian Watson, because he's been chomping at the bit to get back on this football field. There's some argument that we maybe have brought him back a little sooner than we did, but clearly he's in the fold now, and I think you got to just cut him loose, man. He's balls to the wall time. Let's go.
Emilio, did you see that picture of Christian when he stood up and screamed and flexed, bro? Listen, I'm watching the tape, bro. I'm watching the tape, breaking the tape down and going, is that 11 or 12? Is that 11 or 12? That's 12. No, that's Christian Watson. Holy cow. Mm-hmm. Dude, he looks like his arms have bulked up big time.
I mean, he looks like you after a 40 set. You know what I mean? You get up there. Come on, Mandy.
For those of you wondering what a 40 set is, Emilio, when we went to Green Bay, he found out that, and Mandy hates this thing. I travel everywhere with a push-up pad, all right? And it's got the color code where you can do the shoulders, you can do the chest, you can do the tries, all that, right? Emilio walked in the bedroom, and I was back. He was like, what the hell is that? I'm like, it's a push-up pad. And he was like, looking at him, like, I got to get me one of these. Emilio, do you got one now?
Oh, yeah, I got one. I hadn't even had my coffee yet, but I seen him just down on the carpet. I was like, man, this is going to be a bad start to the trip, and he's over here just slamming out 40.
See, Emilio he snuck away from the pod that night when we did the live draft, and he went off to the draft and got a little soused. Your boy was over there doing push-ups in between picks. You know what I'm saying? So, listen, when you're my age, you got to do something to fight back. Anyway, go ahead, Emilio.
All I was going to say, just to the offensive point, was our only 2 losses came from us putting up a 10 spot and a 13 spot. Every other time we've had a win or a tie, with the losses coming by 6 points in total. So it's really not the end of the world. I don't know how much, better you want. I can only go 16-0 in college football so many times before you take an L, right, Clay? It's like you're going to take a loss, man. It's going to happen. So, yeah, it was to 2 rough teams maybe. Right. But, again, the Browns had the best defense in the league, still kind of do at the point we were playing them. And then, Panthers put up a fight. They took it to Dallas. We tied Dallas. All right. Is that something to look at in correlation? Maybe, but I don't think it's as, in-depth as that. I think that you got to say, hey, nobody woke up for the 12 o'clock. We fell back, whatever it was, and move on, man. If it, you don't want to talk about Halloween, don't talk about the time change. You had a bad day at the office. So
I don't give a shit if it's Halloween.
Coach.
I love it. I was just looking at some of these here real quick. Since you brought that up, in 1996, the Packers lost to the Minnesota Vikings on the road 30-21. Okay. Again, this is the world champion Green Bay Packers, right? Week 11, they lost on the road to the Kansas City Chiefs 27-20. Not a bad loss there, right? Then they lost the very next game. So they lost 2 in a row, weeks 11 and 12. At the Dallas Cowboys, they lost that game 21-6 that year. So even Super Bowl teams drop games like this.
You're telling me Super Bowl team loses games back to back, Clay? That's crazy.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. And by 2 scores, So Coach Lynn said he's 225 plus, talking about Christian Watson. And somebody mentioned in the chat, I had it marked. I apologize. I lost it. Thank y'all for bringing it up. Christian Watson's dad actually quote tweeted this about the rankings and said, but according to the public sentiment, the passing game is a problem with the upside down.
Right. I love Papa Scoop, man. Always calling it like he sees it, man. Love it.
And then we had people jump in the comments go, oh, what metric are you using?
Oh, shut up.
If you have to ask what metric, if listen to everybody hear my voice. If you're using yards per game as a metric, don't try to convince me that's better than yards per play, okay? Because yards per play is it's fine-tuning. When you drop back to pass, put everything else aside in the passing game. When you drop back to pass, how many yards are you getting on average when you try to throw the football? When you run the ball? When you hand that ball off to a ball carrier, how many yards are you averaging getting? All right. When you go to yards per game, you can have a team have 130 yards rushing, right? And another team have 110. And if you're going off yards per game, you go, oh, well, the 110 or the 130 is better than the 110. But then when you dive into the numbers, you go, holy cow, they ran the ball 32 times. This team ran it 12. Who was more effective at running the football? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So Anyway.
That's why I like what Jen Wright says in the chat. My eyes are the metric.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I know what I'm seeing with my own eyes.
Right. So again, I'm not saying that the Packers offense is perfect. I'm not saying they can't improve. They got a lot they need to improve on, mainly the running game. But this idea that Matt LaFleur needs to be fired, he's a horrible play caller, and this offense sucks. I don't know what you're watching. I don't know what metrics you're looking at. I just can't get on board with that. Other than it's emotional, and if that's the case, cool. I'm not diving into people's tweets and going, "What a stupid take." You don't see me do that. You know why? I've got a rule. If someone doesn't ask my opinion about their opinion, I'm not giving my opinion on it because they didn't ask me. I'm not knocking on their door and going, "Hey, that's a stupid take." Right? Not going to do it. But if people jump in my mentions, I'm going to meet you at the door and go, "Hey, here's the actual facts." You guys know I'm going to tell you if I see something is bad. What have I been saying about the running game? Boys, running game sucking. We got to get that going. We got to get that going, right? Said it. Carolina would be the week to do that, and we got it going. And there were people on Twitter saying we need to pass the ball more. We need to pass the ball more. Just threw an interception into quadruple coverage. We need to throw the ball more. Well, no, it's a scheme. We need to stop throwing screens. No, we need to stop throwing deep. What the hell do you want him to do? You have both. He was throwing it behind the line. He was throwing it. I could show you 2 or 3 plays on Chalk Talk where he hits Romeo Dobbs. What was it? A 30-yarder. I think that was a dig route, if I remember correctly. He hits Christian Watson on a deep post in a dagger concept, or a strike concept, rather, right? He hit Romeo Dobbs again on another dig, and all anybody wants to focus on is just the screen passes that didn't work. Although they weren't complaining about the screen passes last week when Savion Williams was scoring a touchdown in Pittsburgh, right? So it's just I get frustrated because at times screens don't work. They didn't work on Sunday. They worked the week before. So now all of a sudden it just Ryan does a great job of this. Ryan Schlipp does an excellent job of this on his podcast. Yeah. It's like people complain when we throw it deep into coverage. People complain when we throw it shallow on screens. People complain when we just lean on the run. People complain when we don't run a run. I'm one of those guys, right? When we don't run the ball.
Moral of the story, people complain.
There you go. That's it. Myself included. But again, rooted in what does the tape show? What does the advanced metrics show? What do the basic statistics show? What's the PFF grade show? Right? Like everything. Throw it all into one pot and come up with a realistic expectation. So a couple of chats here. 2-0 for this says Glover is a musician. He strums the strings of Emilio's heart. Is that true?
I don't know, but we miss him.
You like to keep it mysterious, right? So, Fishy Thing says, is Wilkins still available? Talking about Christian Wilkins. I personally don't want Christian Wilkins, Fishy Things. And someone else said it here too. Actually, right here. J. Cole said, I would not want to be in the locker room with Wilkins. Wilkins was running around doing inappropriate things to his teammates. We'll just leave it at that. To the point where the team was like, you got to get this freak out of here. Get this weirdo out of here. If you guys may or may not have seen the Charles Haley tweet, somebody tweeted out, brung up what Charles Haley was doing in the locker room when he was with the 49ers. He was basically trying to get traded, but that type of stuff, I don't want that type of player in my locker room personally.
Clay, what would you have done about Quinnen Williams? Would you have given up a first and a second for?
Amelia, it's tough, man. I'm going to get raked over the coals. You're going to make me answer this, and I was trying to avoid it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll answer it.
It's all good. Listen, we don't have a first rounder this year. We don't have a first rounder next year. The easy out here is, well, we didn't have enough draft capital to get it. I agree with Dallas's move. I think that's a good move. I really do. What I disagree with is why the hell didn't you do that when you have Micah Parsons? Because now you're just kind of back to when you have Micah, right? You got one solid defensive lineman, and maybe Fowler will step up. He stepped up. He showed some flashes last night, right? Dante Fowler. I'm not holding my breath on that. But to answer your question, if the Jets would have taken a 2028 first-round pick and our second-round pick this year, I would have given that up.
But they also swung a Mozzie Smith, which was a first-round pick that the Cowboys had. So Cowboys basically, I remember listening to the pod, they basically gave up on Mozzie Smith. So they turned Mozzie Smith in with a first and a second. I mean, that's
so that would be kind of the equivalent to us giving them Devontae Wyatt with a first and a second, right? That's how old is Quinnen Williams?
27.
27. That makes it a lot more. That's more difficult for me.
Because when I first saw 1 and 2, I was like, ooh, I don't know, man. We had talked about it a few times, looking at, getting another tackle and stuff like that. But when I saw that they moved Mozzie, I mean, move on from the fact that the Cowboys were basically done with the guy. He was still a first-round draft pick. That holds some sort of value in that trade. and the Jets thought it was enough. They're stacking up picks, and who's what's the pick the Cowboys are using? Like also the Jets are getting the 2 firsts from the Colts. At this point, they're going to be late firsts. I mean, it's a late first this year, pushing a 2nd round pick. So how much value are you actually getting out of those things? And I didn't know if they used ours or theirs.
I think it was confirmed in a later tweet by Ian Rappaport that it is theirs. So it's going to be the higher 1st round pick.
Okay.
Sure. So, yeah, I think I understood that correctly. You guys let me know in the comments if I got that wrong. But yeah, it's if the question is give up your 2027 1st round pick, your 2026 2nd round pick, and Devontae Wyatt for Quinnen Williams and him being 27 years old, I don't think I could do that.
And Colby and Carl aren't going to be enough, right? At that point, they'd be asking for LVN or they'd be asking for Enigbare or something, and maybe we could talk about it, but I still don't think that we can move on from those sort of head guys. I think we need to keep rotating everybody we have been.
If he was 24 or 25, different story, right? Because you're going to have him for the next 6 to 8 years. But the thought of him hitting the wall 2 years from you giving all that stuff up, that kind of shortens that 3-year Super Bowl window to a 2-year window. Although some people believe it's a 5-year window. I hope that's the case. Our buddy DJ Schultz in the house says Wilkins, Asante, and Gerald Everett would probably cost about $10 million for the rest of the season. All 3 of those players, I would be okay with bringing on board, with the exception of Wilkins for the reasons I just said. Just a football player, Wilkins, heck yeah, he's a hell of a player. So DJ, you're spot on with him on the football field for the most part of his career, but just the off the field stuff kind of turns me off. But boy, if you told me go out and get Asante Samuel Jr. and Gerald Everett in free agency, I like Gerald Everett as he tied in. I think I would be okay with that. But he is, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, I think if you had to put him closer to Tucker Kraft or Luke Musgrave, I imagine he would be closer to Musgrave than Kraft, but I could be wrong there. Maybe Everett's running through people's faces too, because that's definitely Tucker's superpower there. So what do y'all think about that? Would y'all be okay with those 3 signings? And am I being weird about Christian Wilkins? Maybe y'all disagree with that. I don't know. It just seemed like you don't want to bring that in the locker room, me personally.
No, I agree with that point, the off the field stuff, but we do know, what we do here in Titletown, right? Guys come here and it's all ball, right? So
that's true.
Maybe coming to a place like Green Bay would, the off the field stuff would be less of an issue. But I feel the same way you do too with Everett. I think he's more Musgrave than he is Tucker Kraft, and we're trying to replace an irreplaceable guy right now. So I don't know. It wouldn't hurt,
Yeah. Right.
Asante Samuel Jr. though, spinal fusion, that's no joke, man. Like you've got a guy that had his spine fused together. So I could see there being a little hesitancy, with someone like him. Also the fact that I know Asante Samuel's a versatile corner, but he's mostly a slot guy, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think we need slot guys. I think we need boundary guys.
I was thinking he was an outside guy, but I could be wrong there. I haven't done extensive research on him. I did a little article earlier today, and it's probably – I can't remember if that image showed where he was taking snaps at. But in terms of the spinal fusion, he's been cleared by 2 doctors. It's scary because, you don't want that blood on your hands if somebody gets paralyzed. But at the same time, he wants to play football. I can understand, but – obviously, he was in-house. I think they said it was last week, I believe, if I remember correctly. So they're not going to sign him if there are any worries about that. But also the guaranteed money it's cold business, right? So make sure you limit the guaranteed money. And if you're the highest bidder, then if God forbid something happened and he re-injures it, then you're off the hook with minimal cap damage. It's just such a tough sport, man. It is. I feel you probably can hear it in my voice. I'm uncomfortable talking about that stuff because you're talking about possibly paralyzing someone. So
looks like he played in 24. He played out wide. Basically, he had one slot snap, and then basically he's an outside corner. Had about 20 some slot snaps in 23. So looks like basically outside.
Mostly outside.
Nice. Okay, that's good then. That changes my opinion a little bit.
I'm with you, Tim. We don't need no slot, that's for sure, right? So let's hit on this real quick. Defensively, Jeff Hafley unveiled something a little bit different this week. I thought this was interesting, okay? And this was actually the interception, Xavier McKinney's interception. And basically what Jeff Hafley did was he added another wrinkle to his nickel 4-2-5 cheetah. He unveiled the 3-3-5. Well, why is he going with the 4-2-5 and kind of accomplishing the cheetah package here? I think it was to make sure that you had the edges in those wide nines to kind of help with the run game here. Rather than having just a 3-3-5 front, you got a 4-man front, and you got these backers mugging up. But what he did different here, guys, Micah Parsons, he had playing the mock position, okay, which you can see he's kind of mugging, so it's similar to that Joker look, right? If someone wants to call this Joker one, I got you. But look what he did with Quay. He puts Quay at the edge now. So you got Rashawn Gary one side, Quay on the other. You guys remember last week we were talking about this? Maybe Quay's a better pass rusher than a stack backer.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, you get him out here on the edge. Pretty cool that we, I don't want to say we called it, but it was just interesting. And then they got JJ and Ibarra to 4-tech, so he's the cheetah in the cheetah package. So you've still got your cheetah package where you got 3 pass rushers, right? 1, 2, 3, Rashawn Gary, Kingsley Ibarra, and Micah Parsons. And then you took Quay and put him on the line of scrimmage. You put Micah at the mock position. Obviously, he's on the strong side of the formation and nickel defense, so there you go. And you're playing a little 33 Spurs, so you've got a heavy box here. You're trying to cover against the run. If I remember correctly, our boy Bryce Young changes the play. I think he already did it there, yeah, because I think I caught it. He just walked back. So he changed the play, went to a pass, and then you'll notice what they're doing here, guys, is a mock will fire. So it's basically a 56 scrape. So the mock goes first, and the will, being Edgerrin Cooper, is going to scrape blitz off of his hip pocket, right? So he takes the center with him. And look at the running back, man. If that's Rico Dowdle, and I think it is, he's a hell of a player, Emilio. Look at this. Bang. Picking that up. I mean, but
even
again,
to be able to see that.
Yeah.
Being on the far right side of that tackle over there.
Yeah. And that was the interception. Again, I think that he was just thinking, I've got single coverage here. He probably read zero blitz somehow, some way. Didn't expect McKinney to get back there, wanted to give his guy a shot. The ball doesn't come out wobbly. He does step into the throw somewhat, I guess, right? It's not like he got hit, but maybe it's just a bad ball too. But nonetheless, I just wanted to point out that interception that we got there in the red zone was a new wrinkle that Hafley has unveiled. Am I the only one this is the first time seeing this, or have you guys noticed it as well? This is normally you would have obviously Micah at edge, Quay at mock in this situation. You still fire them, and Quay's still blitzing the quarterback. But in this particular situation, man, it was interesting to see Micah playing the mock position and Quay playing a wide nine.
Yeah.
First time you see him?
I think so. I mean, I remember Quay walking up once or twice before, but besides that, no, not in the cheetah package specifically, getting out there. But I also think that maybe, if we're having problems with the interior D line, maybe you look at your bigger edge rushers, aka Kingsley and Ibarra, LVN, work them inside more, so you have more of a power rush, speed rush kind of D line. But if you get into a 3rd and 1, you need to bring some more meat and potatoes out there. So it's like that's that fine line you're walking. Whereas, we get DY back, all that stuff. And it's just the weight is what you're probably worried about down there a little bit. And that's where you got to fight in the trenches. And if you don't have a big guy that can move, and cause some disruption, that's where you run into a little bit of a problem. Yeah.
And again, coming back to this metric defensively, we're 8th in scoring defense, 1st in passing defense, not in rushing defense. So that's why I personally don't think we need a cornerback, although Asante Samuel Jr. was an ascending player. He was getting better every year as he got hurt. We took Stokes over Asante Samuel Jr. in the 1st round, right? So we took Stokes as a 1st rounder. Asante Samuel Jr. fell to, I think, the 37th pick, so he was a 2nd round pick, early 2nd there. So Goody probably had a late 1st, early 2nd grade on Asante Samuel Jr. That's probably why he's so interested in him. So if he is healthy, maybe you get your 2nd shot at the right corner in that draft if he can continue to play and get better and be healthy. So that's why I'm okay with it at the right price, of course. So, but again, defensively, man, even offensively, I just don't understand all the hate. The argument of you need to run the ball less and throw it more, I can understand that argument because the passing game is very efficient, man. You're talking about third best in yards per pass attempt. I just felt like we got away from the run a little too much last game, personally, especially when, the interception that Jordan Love throws, guys, that was a 1st down play.
Yeah, that's tough.
You're averaging over 5 yards a carry. If you pick up 5 yards on that 1st down, now you're looking at a 2nd and 5. Instead, you're giving the ball away, right?
Right.
And then there was another play too there where I can't remember what it was, but I think it was an incomplete pass on first down. It was like put you behind the sticks. So when people say they're not being aggressive enough, not throwing the ball enough, I'm looking at going, man, situationally, you got 2 or 3 spots in that game where you really hurt yourself, put yourself behind schedule on offense by passing.
Yeah, run the ball in first down. I agree.
Yeah, unless it's one of those things where he flips over his pamphlet and says, "Oh, I got the baked-in shot play. I still need to." So I remember he said one time in an interview or whatever, like, you try to get maybe 1 1/4 or something along those lines, and just you want it because you got to keep him honest. Same with, like, I know we hate him, but like the bubble screens, the jet sweeps, you're trying to test them horizontally so that you can break them vertically, and you have to be honest with that. I pulled up Quay's numbers real quick, and this is actually his highest D-line game. He had 8 snaps by position at PFF at D-line. The only other closest would have been week 3. He had 6.
Yeah, so we were right there, weren't we? So it's a little bit inflated. So that's interesting, man, because, again, we're watching the tape. And last week, if you guys remember on the show, we said – I remember specifically saying – maybe Quay is an edge rusher. Maybe he's more of an edge guy as opposed to, a stack backer. That might be the case. Now, listen, I'm not saying put Micah at stack backer and let Quay rush the quarterback. Obviously, that's silly. But in those situations where they're putting so much attention on Micah, I love that look of throwing him in at Mike. Now they're going, okay, well, he's standing here. He's probably rushing, so we still got to allocate 2. And now you get a one-on-one in your other spots. And you'll notice on that throw, too, people were dogging the pass rush again. Guys, there ain't no pass rush hitting home on that play. You see how quick the ball came out? You got an interception too, by the way. So, and that would be considered a pressure by Edgerrin, according to GPS tracking, because he got so close to the quarterback, even though the running back picked him up. You can still see Bryce let the ball go and kind of get skinny, like he felt that pressure. Yeah,
I think that's why Bryce Young threw that pass.
Sure.
Yep. And honestly, if the protection doesn't get there, we could be looking at a strip sack or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt about it. If he loads that up and Rico Dowdle doesn't come over and make that block, that ball's getting popped straight up in the air. Yep. No doubt. Absolutely. And maybe you get a strip sack and you end up winning that ball game, and Matt LaFleur still has a job. So it's funny as it sounds. So, Emilio, you're over there studying. You got anything else you want to hit before we wrap up, man?
No, I don't think so. No, I was just pulling up LaFleur's winning percentage. He's still 13th, right behind Paul Brown. Just going to bounce back and forth probably till the end of the year. Hopefully we can catch Mr. Don Shula. But yeah, it's like, and I don't know. I'm just the sun still came up in the morning and it still went down at night, and we still moved on. We got past the Browns loss. I mean, I really don't understand.
We're still in first place in the division, correct?
Yeah.
That's not check. Yeah.
And I mean, it's like, there's so much more that we could be worried about. Yeah, it didn't go well. All right, cool. But I think that, again, we fall back on it. Yeah, they're a young team, but this is getting them experience to be an older team or, quote, more seasoned team. So I think that's either way you're going to have mistakes. You might as well have them earlier in the season or maybe against bad teams or this and that. Yeah, right. Thank you, Dave. He said that.
Got to lose 3 to go 13-3. I love it.
Exactly. And even that, it's just, what do you learn? How much more do you learn in a loss than you do in a win?
Yeah. Jim points out 14-3.
14-3. That's right. We got 17 games now.
I think he's including the tie, though. So I see what you did, Jen. I love the creativity there, but I think he was saying 13-3-1, right? Obviously with the tie. So
14-3 was my preseason prediction for this team. So,
somebody responded on X, and I just had to log off. I logged off last night. They tweeted out, "What has Matt LaFleur done to warrant keeping his job? And don't you dare mention winning percentage." I was like, "We're not. What the hell are we doing here? We're winning isn't the most important thing. What are we?" Mm-hmm. So remove the most important thing that a coach is responsible for, and then tell me what he's done. I was blown away. I had to reply, and I went, I'm just going to go to bed, man. I can't do this right now. It's unbelievable. So Coach Lynn said, that's the whole job.
That's literally the job, man.
Oh, man. Unbelievable. So anyway, parting thoughts, gentlemen. This was a fun episode, man. Again, I pushed Chalk Talk back to tomorrow because there was so much to talk about. that I thought, you know what, let's just do Chalk Talk tomorrow. We'll get the injury report. We'll dive right into Philly. So
sounds good.
Heck yeah. No, excited, man. It's one of those where what's this tush push game, right?
Yes. Listen, I think here's how I'm looking at this game, and I'm not telling anybody to feel the same way I'm feeling here, but I'm looking at this game. I think Tauscher said it best. Mark Tauscher said, the Packers have shown us they're a good team. They're not a great team. I think you've got an opportunity to go up against Philly on Monday night and prove that you're a great team. If you lose to Philly and it's a one-score game, I'm still in the camp of you're a good team. If you go in there and beat the reigning Super Bowl champions, who last I checked is number 1 seed in the NFC right now, and you knock them off, I feel comfortable saying, no, this is a great team, and we've lost 2 games by a total of 6 points. So that's it. That's what I got. So I'm excited, man.
Revenge game. We don't forget Brazil. Mm-hmm. We remember Brazil and what they did to Jordan. It's a revenge game for this team.
Absolutely. And you talk about Bills Chiefs. Bills always beat them in the regular season, right? But they can never get over the hump in the postseason. But a one-score game between those two. Oh no, it's just a battle of 2 great quarterbacks. Oh, did you see Mahomes? Here's a guy, and did you see Josh Allen? I mean, here's another guy. So yeah, what's the difference, right? It's just because we're more invested.
Yeah. United Bates says we recovered that damn ball. Yes, we did.
Oh yeah, in the playoff game. Oh yeah, for sure.
Changed the whole out. My God,
Dave. They give Keyshawn so much hell for coughing it up, but they give him no props for recovering his own fumble.
Right.
Yeah. Dave C. Last comment of the night said, "Can the Eagles cover us? Can the Eagles just push all the way down the field and score?" The cover us is interesting. We're going to dive into that starting on Thursday when we start to dive into the numbers. Their pass defense is very, very suspect. So this might be a Jordan Love game at Lambeau Field, ladies and gentlemen. We might come out there and just say, you know what, let's run the ball to set up the pass. They may go that route. So I'll be
hard to beat a team 3 times in a row. They're 2-0 right now. So I mean, it's obviously a different team, different year, but that taste is still there for half of our team easy.
Yeah. So if you guys are watching this back later, let us know in the comments what you think about what we just ended the show with, the defensive talk, Jeff Hafley's new wrinkle, the rankings. How do you feel about the defense? Are you comfortable with where they're at? Do you want to see them take another step? There's always another level, obviously. What do you think they need to improve on? We want to hear from you over there. Make sure you hit subscribe, click that bell icon so you're notified when we go live in the future. Also, the best way to support what we do here at PTA is join our Patreon group, patreon.com/Packer Fan Total Access. $3 gets you access to everything on the site. You get all the articles we drop. You get access to all the chats. You get access to the draft boards. You get access to pretty much everything, like I said, on there. Also, it gets you entered into the giveaways, which this week we're going to be doing an autographed rookie Lucas Van Ness card. I'm excited tomorrow to get the injury report. Is he going to play this week? We'll have all that info for you tomorrow on PTA Live. Before we jump into the tape, Chalk Talk, breaking down the 13 most important plays in the loss to the Carolina Panthers. That's it, guys. Thank y'all so much. Appreciate the super chats. Jason Y and Jake, thank y'all for the extra support there. We greatly appreciate it. We'll see you tomorrow. Everybody have a wonderful evening. As always, let's go out and be the change we want to see in the world and go back. Go.
Here we go.
Bye, guys.